You've heard the 0W20 debate 100 times. Scotty says it destroys engines. Engineering Explained says it is perfectly fine. The Car Care Nut says both sides have a point. But what is the truth? Toyota mistakenly leaked a document that changes this whole propaganda. Last month in my workshop, a Toyota driver came with the same problem: milky oil and low oil pressure warnings, and one confused owner who kept saying, "But I followed the manual." I exposed the truth to him because I'm done staying quiet now. And in this video, I'm going to break the same truth here by showing Toyota's own service bulletin listed on the NHTSA database. Remember to stay till the end, because today, I'll expose how big YouTube influencers spread false information and earn dollars in return. First, let me explain. What is this leaked Toyota document all about? When this Toyota document started circulating online, it created absolute chaos in the car world. Headlines like "Milky engine oil, low oil pressure," and "Toyota service bulletin" started surfacing. And suddenly, every comment section turned into a courtroom. Some people called it proof that Toyota was hiding something. Others said it was being blown out of proportion. But here is the truth. This was not some secret file pulled from a locked office drawer. This was Toyota's own technical service bulletin, listed in the NHTSA database, and it told technicians exactly what to look for when certain Toyota engines came into the workshop with a very specific problem. And after working for more than 20 years in the automotive industry, I know one thing very clearly. Not every scary headline is the full truth, but not every warning should be ignored either. Experience teaches the difference between internet panic and a real mechanical concern. This document is not fake. The problem is real, but it needs to be understood properly. The bulletin talks about 2018 to 2024 Toyota models with modern engines like the A25A and M20A family. These engines are used in popular Toyotas such as the Camry, RAV4, Corolla, Prius, Highlander Hybrid, Sienna Hybrid, Venza, Crown, and others. Toyota says that these vehicles may show milky or discolored oil, an oil pressure low warning, a check engine light, and fault codes such as P05202A or P052477. Now, when a driver sees milky oil, the first fear is usually a blown head gasket or coolant mixing with the oil. That is why this document scared so many people. But Toyota points to another cause: repeated short trips in freezing weather. When the engine only runs for a short time, it may not get hot enough to burn off moisture inside the oil. That moisture can mix with the oil, make it look creamy, and in very cold conditions, it can even freeze. Once that happens, oil flow can be affected, and that is where the danger starts. Because oil pressure is not just another warning light. Oil pressure is what keeps the engine alive. Without proper oil flow, metal parts inside the engine are no longer protected properly. But this is what Toyota tried to explain. Now, what is the reality behind it? Let's see what the OG of automotive industry, Scotty warned about. He was the first one who pushed this debate into the spotlight for millions of drivers. Scotty has spent decades working on cars, and whether people agree with him or not, one thing is clear. When he speaks, car owners listen, and his warning about 0W20 oil is loud, direct, and impossible to ignore. His argument is simple. Modern car makers are under pressure to improve fuel economy. Every extra mile per gallon matters. So, according to Scotty, one easy trick is to use thinner engine oil. Thinner oil creates less drag inside the engine, which can help improve fuel economy numbers on paper. But Scotty's concern is, what looks good in official fuel economy tests may not be the best thing for your engine after years of driving. And this is where his warning becomes serious. He often points toward modern small engines, especially small turbocharged direct injection engines. These engines are powerful for their size, but they also run hot, work hard, and put huge stress on the oil. So when you combine a small turbo engine, direct injection, tight internal parts, and very thin 0W20 oil, Scotty believes you may be building a problem that does not show up immediately. It may show up after the warranty is gone. That is what scares owners. The car feels smooth today. The fuel economy looks great today. The dashboard shows no warning today. But deep inside the engine, wear may be happening quietly. And to be fair, some manufacturers have faced real oil-related concerns. Honda, for example, had well-known issues with certain turbo engines and even extended warranty coverage on affected vehicles. So Scotty is not just shouting at the clouds, he is raising a real concern. If 0W20 oil is truly so dangerous, why do many engineers who design these engines still defend it? That is where this debate gets much more interesting. Now, right after Scotty's warning, let's look at the other side of the argument. This is where Jason Fensky from Engineering Explained comes in. Jason is not the loud old-school mechanic type. He is a mechanical engineer, and his style is very different. He does not usually talk with emotion. He talks with numbers, design, clearances, oil flow, and engineering logic. And his argument is simple. But before that, if you made it this far, then consider liking this video, giving it a thumbs up, and subscribing to my channel. This helps me bring you more honest car advice. Coming back, modern engines are not randomly filled with 0W20 oil. They are actually designed around it. That means the tiny spaces inside the engine, the oil pump pressure, the bearing clearances, the oil passages, and the way oil moves through the engine are all planned with that specific oil thickness in mind. So according to Jason, if Toyota, Honda, Ford, or any other company designed an engine for 0W20, then using that oil is not automatically dangerous. In a healthy engine, the moving metal parts should not be grinding against each other. They are supposed to ride on a thin layer of oil. That oil film is what protects the engine. So Jason's point is that if the correct oil is used, the engine is maintained properly, and everything is working as designed, 0W20 should not suddenly destroy the engine. And he makes another important point that many drivers miss. The 0W part is about cold starts. It tells you how well the oil flows when the engine is cold, and cold starts are one of the hardest moments for any engine. When the car has been sitting all night, the oil is cold and thick. The faster that oil reaches the critical parts, the better the engine is protected. So in that sense, 0W20 can actually help protect the engine at startup because it moves quickly through the system. That sounds convincing. But here is where the debate becomes uncomfortable. At the time, Jason made some of his major 0W20 videos. He had a paid partnership with Mobil 1, one of the biggest engine oil companies in the world. Now, that does not automatically mean he is wrong. A paid partnership does not erase engineering facts, but it does mean the viewer deserves to know the full picture. Because when someone is defending thin oil and an oil company is involved, the question becomes simple. Are we hearing pure engineering, or are we hearing engineering with a sponsor standing in the background? And that is why this debate is not finished yet. Because after Scotty's warning and Jason's engineering argument, the car care nut takes a much more careful position. And that matters, because he is not just someone giving opinions from behind a desk. He is a Toyota Master Diagnostic Technician. He has spent years working on Toyota engines, opening them, diagnosing them, repairing them, and seeing what actually happens when these cars age in the real world. His view on 0W20 oil is not as simple as thin oil is bad or thin oil is perfect. His answer is more honest. It depends on the engine, the driving style, and how often the oil is changed. For a normal, naturally aspirated Toyota engine driven gently and serviced on time, 0W20 can be acceptable. If the engine was designed for it and the owner follows proper maintenance, it can do its job. But his warning becomes much stronger when the conversation moves to turbocharged engines. A turbo engine is not living an easy life. The turbocharger can spin at extremely high speeds and operate under brutal heat. That heat puts serious stress on the oil, and when oil is constantly exposed to that kind of temperature, it can break down faster. That is why the car care nut recommends much shorter oil change intervals for some turbo Toyota engines. Not the long interval that looks convenient on paper, not the interval that makes ownership look cheap, but something closer to 3,000 to 4,000 miles in tougher conditions. And this is the key point. He is not saying 0W20 oil is automatically wrong. He is saying many owners may be using it for too long. That is a big difference. Because the oil may look fine from the outside, the car may drive smoothly, the dashboard may show no warning, but inside the engine, heat, fuel dilution, moisture, and tiny metal particles can slowly contaminate the oil before the next scheduled service. So while Scotty warns that thin oil can hurt engines, and Jason argues that modern engines are designed for it, the car care nut lands somewhere in the middle. His message is simple. 0W20 can work, but only if the maintenance matches the way the engine is actually being used. And honestly, after more than 2 decades working on Toyota engines, that is the most practical answer in this whole debate. Because in the workshop, engines do not care about internet arguments. They do not care who shouted louder, who had the better chart, or who sounded more convincing on camera. Engines only respond to real conditions: heat, cold, short trips, long trips, clean oil, dirty oil, and how long that oil has been sitting inside the engine. That is where theory ends and real mechanical experience begins. Finally, what the workshop has taught me. After more than 2 decades working on Toyota engines, here is the point that matters most. The engine rarely tells the whole story on the dashboard. Many Toyota owners come into the workshop saying the same thing. There was no warning before this. But when the oil cap comes off, when the dipstick is checked, or when the old oil drains out, the engine has usually been giving clues for weeks. One RAV4 owner came in after a winter of short school runs and local shopping trips. The car still drove normally, but the oil cap had that creamy residue underneath. The owner thought it was nothing. To a mechanic, that residue is the engine quietly saying, "I am not getting hot enough for long enough." Another customer had a Camry that never missed a service. Beautiful car, clean interior, careful owner, but the oil smelled strongly of fuel, and the engine had spent most of its life doing short city drives. That is the problem with modern engines. They can look perfect from the outside while the oil is slowly losing its ability to protect from the inside. And that is the lesson. Toyota engines are strong, but they are not magical. They still depend on clean oil, proper temperature, and owners who understand how their driving habits affect the engine. A car doing 5 short trips a day is not living the same life as a car cruising 30 miles on the motorway. So the truth is not simply Toyota is bad or thin oil is evil. The truth is this: maintenance should match real driving, not just the number printed in the manual. Check your oil. Know what normal looks like. Do not ignore strange color, fuel smell, creamy residue, or pressure warnings. These small signs can be the difference between a simple oil service and a painful engine repair. For more honest Toyota advice from real workshop experience, subscribe and stay ahead of the problems most owners only discover too late.